The Epstein files were released today, except it's just phase one. And except we don't even know what phase one is because they put it in a binder, and that binder got put into the hands of a select few group of influencers, including DC Drano, Libs of TikTok. I believe Chad Prather was there. I saw Jack Pasabic, Mike Cernovich, ALX on Twitter, Liz Wheeler, and potentially a few others. Those are the ones I can recall. I'm going to tell you what I think about how they're releasing it. Obviously, a lot of people are disappointed. Some people are saying it's better than giving it to the mainstream media. Anna Paulina Luna, who's on the task force for this stuff, is very upset. She says that this is not what they asked for. This isn't really even going to be that much. And she hasn't even seen it. Why would they give it to other people and not her? A lot of stuff going on. I'm going to cover it as it's coming in. I'm going to let you know what I think. And then I'm going to let you know as we're live. I'm going to stay live for as long as I can. Try to get the intel that's coming in and the files that are being released and share them with you online. It's an official Epstein fake release watch party. God bless you guys. Dream Rare podcast starts now. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you.
It's the Dream Rare podcast. Welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our control. The world is crazy, but we get better from obstacles. Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? What's going on Facebook? What's going on YouTube? What's going on Rumble? We got Caroline in the house, Luciana, Sochi, Alex, Trisha, One Real, Timothy Judge, Chelsea. We got Nito. We got Pumpkin Princess. I don't know. Your name's all crazy. We got Emmy. Okay, that's enough. There's enough about you. Enough about you, guys. Come on. Don't make this whole show about you. You're stealing my show. You're like a heckler at a comedy show, just trying to make me talk about you guys instead of the Epstein list. So let me just get into what we got so far, and then I'm going to be reading stuff. So today I saw a picture that I had to make sure was real at first, where it was like DC Drano, Mike Cernovich, the girl who runs the account Libs of TikTok, holding up a binder that said the Epstein files or some sort of phase one. And they're like, oh, we got the phase one files, you know? I posted it on Facebook, and, you know, a lot of people are like, just show us the files. And others said, you know, this is a good way to release it through journalists that aren't the mainstream media. Here's my thoughts real quick, and I'll try to keep up with it as it's coming in and see what they tell us. If you really want to make stuff public, and there's people in the comments that were like, oh, Anomaly's just jealous. I don't want the binder in my hand. I wouldn't even want to be there, to be honest, because it's like, if you really want to make files transparent, you show them all to the public, and then all the journalists can go through them all and we could see them all. If you give it to like 10 people, although I got to be honest, and, you know, I always try to keep it real. I know a lot of the people there. I would consider some of them like friends, not my best friends or anything, but this is no hate to the people there. We'll see what happens, etc. Some of them I follow on Twitter and I like, but it's like, it's a weird vibe for like Liz Wheeler to just be holding up, like, you know, it's like a photo op. It's like, look, I'm with the Epstein files. What's in the binder, Liz Wheeler? Are you going to post it? Are you going to use it for clickbait? Or some people allegedly, you know, according to reports I saw on Twitter, are putting it behind a paywall. It's like, it doesn't matter if you give it to the mainstream media or independent journalists, including people that I like and actually appreciate. It's like them holding the binder for a selfie and then telling you that they're not going to tell you what's in it. It's not transparency, and it's a very weird way to publish it. I want to give you a few things that Anna Paulina Luna is saying, because she is the head of the government task force, which, by the way, once again, I like Anna, but it's also kind of weird where it's like you got Anna Paulina Luna and Nancy Mace being like, we're getting the Epstein files soon. Here they come. Maybe they're coming. And then everyone's, you know, getting mad at Anna Paulina Luna because she's the face of like the new Epstein release, but she really has no power. And she's telling people it's actually Pam Bondi who can do it. I don't have power. She's really upset on her Facebook page because here, I'm going to read what she's saying. Anna Paulina Luna said, I nor the task force were given or reviewed any of the Epstein documents being released today. A New York Post story just revealed that the documents will simply just be Epstein's phone book. This is not what we or the American people asked for. Get us the information we asked for instead of leaking old information to the press. She also said, you know, let me see. I guess that's all she said. So she said it's going to be the phone book of Epstein. It's not new information. And, you know, why are they doing this? Not trying to be the bearer of bad news because I'm sure more will come in or something. But I told people yesterday on my Facebook, I don't believe that they're going to show us that much. I think that they're going to show us old information like lists and, a phone book. Like here's the real story. So when it came to, Monica Lewinsky, everyone knew Monica Lewinsky had an affair with Bill Clinton, right? Everybody in America knew that story. It was like, oh my gosh, Bill Clinton got a BJ in the White House. Like I was in like middle school and I heard it because all the adults were talking about, Bill Clinton getting his saxophone played, for lack of a better term. With that being said, no one in the press ever covered who was Monica Lewinsky. Yes, she was an intern, but I saw an article. If you Google, enough about Monica Lewinsky, there was a book that said that a foreign president from a country that must not be named, I'll just say Netanyahu, the book claimed and the article claimed that he was using it as like a Clinton blackmail. I mean, I need to look up the exact headline because it's like, let me see, blackmail Netanyahu. There's a reason I'm saying this, by the way, folks. All right, here it is. The Times of Israel, they said, this is the Times of Israel in 2014. It says, Netanyahu said to have offered Lewinsky tapes for Jonathan Pollard. A new critical book on the Clinton family claims that Israel tapped the White House, blackmailed presidents with recordings of intern. So the reason I'm bringing this up, well, one, Jonathan Pollard was actually released under the Trump administration, and Jonathan Pollard went back to Israel on Trump's donor's jet. Literally, the Adelson jet is how Pollard, that guy that article is referencing, fascinating stuff. But in general, it's like the story's not, did Monica Lewinsky, I can't even say her name, did she do what she did it's who was she, and was she like a foreign spy or a blackmail spy? I mean, I never even thought of that angle growing up, but now that I saw that article, I was like, maybe that's true, maybe it's not, I don't know. The reason I'm bringing it up is it's the same thing with Jeffrey Epstein. The interesting part about it is not who was in his phone, thing. Just because someone's in his phone doesn't even mean they worked with Epstein or they're guilty. Obviously, it's a lead, but it's like, how many people are in your phone? How many people do you know? How many people do you think are in professional networkers and blackmailers' phone? They probably got thousands of contacts because their entire job is to try to get in with everybody. So it's like, just because someone's in Epstein's phone, is that part of a story? I mean, I guess, but I don't really think it matters that much. What matters is who actually did really messed up, evil stuff with Epstein, illegal, disgusting, evil stuff. Who did Epstein work for? What was Epstein's role in this, and how was he using what he was using, and what was he getting out of it? Like why was he blackmailing people? Who was he working for? What was his goal? If you listen to people like Lex Friedman said on a podcast, he's like, oh, yeah, I think he was just an evil guy who was working by himself. It's like, you really think that, Lex Friedman? Or are you just saying that? I mean, obviously, maybe that's true, but pretty much everybody doesn't think that that's true. But if you want to like tell people that, then maybe. So the point that I'm getting to is with this Epstein release, they're making a big theatrics of it. They got influencers with the binder. They got Anna Paulina Luna talking about it. No disrespect to anybody, because I have a lot of friends in this, and I'm a nice guy. I'm not trying to be rude. But it's all a show. We don't care about a list of people that flew on his plane. I mean, some people do, but it's like a lot of people flew on his plane because he was trying to compromise them. What we want to know is, why was he doing that? Who was he working for? And who was doing the stuff with him? What was the goal? Not look at the list that you've already seen a bunch of times. Didn't RFK Jr. fly on his plane? I'm not saying RFK Jr. is in on it, but didn't he fly in his plane? Didn't Trump hang out with him at the White House? You could find pictures of Elon Musk with Ghislaine Maxwell. These people were everywhere. And I think you're innocent until proven guilty, but either get to the core of who was really doing what, or release the deeper information. Now, I want to show you something real quick before I get onto other stuff, because if you go through the people that really helped sweep Epstein under the rug, I'm doing a whole video on this, so I guess I'll do it now because I have a big audience, but I'm doing a more detailed report of this. Almost every person that was like working with Epstein, or at least not just working with him, but I would say in positions of law when Epstein was getting charged, Trump has pretty much hired all of them, and then people don't like this. Like, I like Trump. I think he's a better leader than Kamala, But, this is the truth. Like, who gave Epstein the sweetheart deal that got him off the hook originally? I believe his name was Alex Acosta. I got to look up his first name, but his name is Acosta, not Jim Acosta. I think it's Alex Acosta. And he was the attorney that, was at the pinnacle of giving Epstein a sweetheart deal, right? Donald Trump hired Acosta to be the Secretary of Labor during his first term. So a guy who helped Epstein get off the hook, Trump promotes him and gives him a position, rewarding him for, what he's done in the past. But I don't know if that's the reason. It's just suspicious. Speaking of which, who was Pam Bondi? Pam Bondi was an attorney general in Florida where Epstein's biggest case was at. Was she there during the case? She wasn't, but she was there for, I think, around 6 or so years after the case. More information came in, more victims came in, more everything came in during Pam Bondi's term, and she's constantly scrutinized by, people and independent journalists in the press for being the person who not necessarily oversaw the court case of Jeffrey Epstein, but could have opened new investigations into him and chose not to. So she was another key player in Florida of keeping, Epstein under the rug. I know she's an attorney, but it's like, can we not get an attorney general that didn't, work around Epstein, or at least have some sort of involvement in his case, or the lack of having a case on Epstein when she had the power to do so? Who was the attorney general of America when Epstein was in office? I'm sorry, it wasn't in office. Probably the people who Epstein blackmailed were in office. But when Epstein was in prison, before he mysteriously died or whatever they say happened to him, it's like, oh, the lights went off, the camera's not working, the guards fell asleep. Sure, they did. Something happened to Epstein. He either died or disappeared. They say he died, and it's probably true, but it's like, I have no idea what happened. With that being said, who was the attorney general of America at the time? It was William Barr. William Barr has connections to Jeffrey Epstein in multiple ways. One of the ways is he worked for a law firm, I believe, that worked with Epstein, and he was supposed to recuse himself because there were 2 cases against Epstein. I think one was in New York, one was in Florida. And for one of them, I think Bill Barr kind of was like, yeah, this is a conflict of interest. For the other one, Bill Barr did not see it as conflict of interest, and he still was in a position where people thought he would step down. Epstein went on to be the attorney general of the United States when Epstein was getting arrested for Trump. And also, Epstein's father happened to be the headmaster at a school where Epstein was a math teacher. If you look up Bill Barr's father, Bill Barr and Epstein not only worked together, but some people think that Bill Barr's father hired him, Others say there's no proof of him hiring him, but he was the headmaster at a school that mysteriously Jeffrey Epstein was teaching math at. I didn't know he was a math wizard, but I guess so. So what I'm trying to say, without bothering too many people with the truth, is I like Trump. I think he's better than Kamala. I think you're innocent until proven guilty. But the truth is, he's always hiring everybody who pretty much let Epstein off the hook. He's always putting them into positions. Why would you take the guy who gave Epstein a sweetheart deal and make him the Secretary of Labor? Like, you don't have anybody else for that position? It is what it is. But, I just find it interesting. I'm going to say one more thing, and then I'm going to scroll through Twitter and try to see updates and see if they're releasing anything from these files. And then I'll give some more. But I wanted to go into, because there's a lot of people that I'm friends with and that I like that have received the Epstein, files, and, good for them. But it has nothing to do with liking them or disliking them. I just think it's a poor way to try to show the public. This is not transparency. It's not transparency having Liz Wheeler take selfies without opening the book. It's not transparency to have some of them putting it behind a paywall and using it to get clicks. This is not transparency. Release all the files that they see. That's real journalism. And then everybody can report on it and go through it. Not a carefully selected group of people. I would feel the same way even if I was chosen to do that. I would think, yeah, everybody's going to hate me because this is not really an honest way to do it. With that being said, one of the journalists there, her name is Chaya something, right? She's a conservative woman who has this account, Libs of TikTok. And I've always enjoyed a lot of what she posts. I mean, it's a lot of weird stuff because she's posting the craziest liberals all the time. But, I think she does decent work. And, I have nothing against her. I'm sure if I met Chaya, we would probably get along and be friends. With that being said, I saw her do something one time that I just thought was the sneakiest, wildest thing I've ever seen. Someone pointed this out to me, and it really makes a lot of stuff into question. And then I'm going to tell you why so many people feel like the journalists that were selected, I'm not going to beat around the bush. A lot of them seem to have loyalty to a certain country, and a lot of people and a lot of evidence is pointing towards that country, that, having connections to Epstein. So it's like, it's not a matter of liking or hating somebody or not allowing certain people to have foreign policy. But if almost every journalist that you use to release the Epstein files may or may not have loyalty to a country that Jeffrey Epstein may or may not have worked for, how are we ever supposed to get that? Not that they've even been given that information, because it sounds like they've just been handed a phone book, which doesn't mean anything. It's probably some rehashed stuff that has been out there in some cases. The list has been public to some extent, maybe not the whole list, but there's already so much recordings of who was on this jet. This is not a news flash. With that being said, I just want to show you this, that Libs of TikTok, she happens to be a Jewish woman, and she was getting attacked by the ADL, who is a left-leaning Jewish organization. But I want to show you this because it's like, you got to see it for yourself. I'm going to slow it down so you really understand what I'm saying, because there's a reason that I'm playing this. I find it just bizarrely fascinating. So this is her tweet. She said, "Holy shit, new unearthed email reveals the ADL urged a counterterrorism unit in Washington to investigate me, Matt Walsh, and Chris Rufo for anti-LGBTQ hate." So she was under attack by the Anti-Defamation League, which is a Jewish organization, even though she's a Jewish woman, right? She's like, they're attacking me. They were calling her like a terrorist or something, or maybe not a terrorist, but like, she was on a hate watch list by them. And she claims that they were counterterrorism investigating, like they were going after her. But at a different time, she sent people to report to the ADL. She said, breaking, ADL California has responded to Jewish students being harassed at school for being Jewish and then receiving a gag order regarding the incidents. They join in calling on MBUSD News to take action. You can also file a complaint about this school on the ADL's website here. So do you follow why I'm showing you this? On one hand, she says, the ADL is coming after me. The ADL is putting me on some hate list. The ADL is targeting me. The ADL is pushing counterterrorism towards me. But then on another hand, she's sending people to report to the ADL for Jewish incidents. It's like, why would you send people to report to an organization that you claim to hate? Why would you be funneling people to an organization that's coming after you? Why would you be funneling people to an organization that, was going for you? Like it's very weird, right? But you can't say it's weird because that's considered anti-Semitism. So she's one of the journalists there. I just find that story fascinating. Of course, the Republican press is mostly fake opposition. So no one would even think, they're not even intelligent or creative enough to ask a question like that, let alone have the integrity to actually ever ask a question like that. No disrespect, nothing personal, nothing rude, nothing mean. It's just like, why would you send students to an organization that abuses their power and has come after you before, and conservatives all the time? Like, why would you do that? Isn't that a little weird? Obviously, it's very weird. So let's look at Twitter. Let's see if any of the files have been released, or they're just going to dangle a carrot in front of our face so everybody could take selfies. Let's see. Nothing. Let's see. DC Drano said, "I've been informed that every word of the Epstein files is in this binder will be released in full today. We cannot control the exact time, but it's happening. The Trump admin is the most transparent in our lifetime." Okay. Another interesting thing too is the Tate brothers have come to the U.S. for the first time. This is like a side story, so I'm not going to get too much into it. But for those who are interested, the Tate brothers, they never got convicted, but they did have like investigations in Romania. They came to the U.S. and Ron DeSantis is basically trying to kick them out or say they're not welcome there. He's going to investigate them. A lot of stuff going there. Ben Shapiro says they support terrorism. So, that's a whole nother wild story, but I'm going to be following that today because I find it fascinating. Let's see. Yeah, I don't really see anything new. I guess they're just going to dangle it in front of our faces. If you guys want, let me know what you think. I'm going to just rehash what I think, and then I want to read some of your comments while I'm waiting for the files to actually come out, if they even come out. My thoughts are this. Like a lot of the people there, have no jealousy or hate in my heart or anything. I wouldn't even really want to do that. with that being said, it has nothing to do with the people chosen, although I do notice a certain pattern with all those people chosen. But it's like either release the files or don't. Selfies, select few journalists. This is not transparency. I mean, if they can see it, if you could show 10 journalists, you could see all journalists. If you only want 10 journalists to see it and not all journalists, then it's not transparency and it's sneaky. If you do let everyone see it, but you just wanted to let them see it first for a photo op, then it's just a photo op. And I don't know what to tell you, but I find it distasteful. Anna Paulina Luna's upset. She's running a government task force and she hasn't even seen the files. New York Post is saying that they're just phone files. You know, this is phase one. My best guess is that they notice, and this is why I believe peaceful, legal, and also friendly, and friendly might not be the right word, but you know, be truthful and be strong in your conviction, but just don't be a dick about it. But at the same time, I do believe that our voice matters, because Anna Paulina Luna sees the backlash to what they're doing. So does Pam Bondi. Republicans, they see social media. They see how much of us know what's going on. They see how many people are not satisfied with what they're doing. So they're basically, I believe, and I'm not saying Anna necessarily, but Pam and some of the bigger wigs, I think what they're doing is like, we don't really want to show you what really went on, because I don't think they can afford to show you what went on. Because if they showed you what really went on with Epstein, it would blow the minds of like half of the Republican Party, because they wouldn't even know how to handle the information of who Epstein worked for, how many people he compromised, because it's a lot of the Republican Party, including people that you think aren't compromised. Like I don't know how to tell you this, but that's probably what happened. So they don't want to show you that. So they want to just dangle carrots to like see the reaction. Like if they give you the name of like a few people on Epstein's phone book, it's like, are you satisfied with that? Are you going to be like, oh, look, it's this celebrity, and be like, yeah, that Obama, or, you know, I'm not saying he's on it, but you understand what I'm saying? It's like, are the people satisfied with this? And then if you're not, they're going to be like, well, phase 2 is coming around, and phase 2 is not going to be anything either. And then phase 3 is going to come. So what I'm saying is be peaceful, be legal, use your First Amendment right, be respectful. In my opinion, it's always good to, I don't believe the truth needs to be angry. I don't think the truth needs to be aggressive. I think the truth can stand on its own. The truth is edgy enough, even if you're not being a dick about it. So just let these people know, keep up with your citizen journalism, be respectful, be peaceful, but let them know that you're not buying what they're selling, because everything's a psychology test. And when enough people pass the threshold, they have to do stuff for you. You know, this happened with this election. Although the left and the right are similar in some ways, because right-wing ideology is starting to dominate in culture, dominate in podcasts, it's starting to get, you know, more money even in the movie industry with certain movies that came out. There's a huge pendulum swinging back towards conservative culture, conservative mindset, conservative ideology. Even with country music, you know, there's a resurgence of that. So now they're like accepting defeat, and they're like, okay, we'll take the pronouns out of the bio. Okay, we'll take the girls out of boys sports. It's not a winnable issue, or boys out of girls sports. You get what I'm saying? They do notice patterns, and they do notice majority turning against them. And then they try to basically give you something to keep something, give you something to keep something. It's why you should, you know, maybe respect Trump as the president, but you can't fall under the spell where sometimes I post stuff and people will be like, relax, give Pam Bondi some time. Relax, give Trump some time. Absolutely. I'm a patient person. Give Trump and Pam Bondi some time. But you think that they're going to show you things just on their own. I don't believe so. I believe there's a lot of pressure around them to not show you certain things. And there's a lot of people around them, including in many cases themselves, who they really can't show you. You know, they not only do they not want to show you, they pretty much for the sake of their political career, they can't. So it's like the only way we're going to get this information is if people are respectful, peaceful, but at the same time persistently doing citizen journalism, saying, we know you're not really trying to show us who Epstein worked for. We know you're really not trying to show us like who was really complicit with Epstein, because, you know, there's a difference between meeting the guy twice and him trying to compromise you versus actually working with the guy. And nobody wants to admit this, but it's like, think about this. How many people's phone number do you have? Especially if you do business or you're an entrepreneur or you network for your job, you probably have hundreds of people's phone numbers. How many people do you really know in your phone? Probably like 5. How many, you know, if someone that you talk to one time or twice at a party does something, is it your fault? Do you even know? So this is just the reality of it. If someone met with Epstein 30 times, they probably know what's going on. If they hung out with him 20 times, they probably know what's going on. If they met him twice or flew on a plane with him, you have to understand that he's posing as this big business mogul that can do things for people. Like, he wasn't coming out and telling people, I'm a blackmail agent, I'm trying to compromise you to control your politics. Like, that's not how these things work. So you could know somebody, if you look this up, Epstein provided somehow a girlfriend for Elon Musk's brother to try to get to Elon Musk. And there's pictures of Elon Musk with Ghislaine Maxwell. Did they compromise Elon Musk, or did they frame him? I have no idea. I'm not going to accuse Elon Musk of that. But did they try to? Absolutely. Did they supply his brother with a girl or a girlfriend? Like, not even necessarily illegal. Just like, oh, you should date this girl. Like, I'm a matchmaker. And then now they have an intel on one of the richest guy's family. Look it up. It's mainstream information. So everybody in that world, knew Epstein in some cases. Trump knew him. Elon knew him. They all knew him. The question is, who was working deeply with him? Who got compromised by him, and what did the compromise do? Like, let's just say Epstein frames you doing something really evil and illegal, and now you're compromised. Like, what did Epstein use the blackmail for, if that's what he was doing? Did he do something with it? Someone said you can't convict someone for being in a phone book. Absolutely. To be honest, I'm not saying it should be private, but like, I don't even think it's really appropriate to release the phone book. I'm not trying to hide it. I don't care. I have nothing to do with Epstein, but it's like, because Epstein did something, now everyone in his phone is in trouble. I guarantee you there's thousands of people in his phone. And I guarantee you that like 70% of his phone never did anything. I bet 10% did, 30% did. I bet some people in his phone met with him 1,000 times. To me, what this is doing is it's going to spread the blame everywhere. It's like, there's probably 10 to 40 people who really know what's going on. There's probably 10 people who were in on it with Epstein, and then there's probably thousands of people that weren't really that deep into it. But if they send everybody to everywhere, now you're going to start blaming people and looking at people who have nothing to really do with all of the stuff. Freddie D with the $9 super chat, he said, I wish we had more people with the mindset of anomaly, not brainwashed or biased, red or blue parties. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Be nice if there were more people, but the fact that there aren't keeps me employed. So life is a balance. There's the, everything balances out. And if everybody knew what was going on, I guess I'd be unemployed or have a different job. But the more the better. Just in, Pam Bondi says the FBI is withholding documents from the Epstein file. Okay, I'm gonna read this real quick. This comes from breaking news. Ready? We're gonna put out a little breaking news. Wait, that's the wrong one. All right, folks, this is a serious news show. We got an alleged letter. Dear Director Patel, to Kash Patel from Pam Bondi, aka Pamela Bondi, Pamela Anderson Bondi. She said, before you came into the office, I requested the full and complete files related to Jeffrey Epstein. In response to this request, I received approximately 200 pages of documents, which consistently, primarily of flight logs, list of Epstein's contacts, and a list of his victims' names and phone numbers. Why would we need the victims' names and phone numbers? Come on. She said, I repeatedly questioned whether this was the full set of documents responsive to my request, and was repeatedly assured by the FBI that we had received a full set of documents. Late yesterday, I learned from a source that the FBI field office in New York was in possession of thousands of pages of documents related to the investigation and indictment of Epstein. Despite my repeated requests, the FBI never disclosed the existence of these files. When I spoke to you yesterday, you were just as surprised as I was to learn the new information. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'll get to the juice of it. I am also directing you to conduct an immediate investigation in why this my order to the FBI was not followed. You will deliver me a comprehensive report of your findings and proposed personnel action within 14 days. So basically now Pam Bondi's like, they're not giving me information. Could be true. Pamela Anderson Bondi could definitely be telling the truth about that. It's good to keep an open mind, but it's going to get interesting. When Jeffrey Epstein died / disappeared / whatever happened to him, to me, that was like the ultimate, the deep state and the powers that be and the shadow government Ooh, the shadow government. These type of people, they're very good at staying hidden. Like it's almost genius level mystery of like everyone's like, it's Obama. Obama's a puppet. It's Trump. Trump's a puppet slash, his own guy, but also kind of a puppet, but also his own guy. Like it's not Trump. Like the left thinks it's Trump. It's not Trump. The right's like, oh, it all leads back to Obama. Like I hate to be rude, but like I gotta stop saying like I'm a Valley girl. It's like, oh, I just said it again. Darn it! I got to get some new vernacular here. It's not Obama is not the root of all the things. He's just one player that they use as a face. But anyway, the establishment is good at hiding their hand. The second something happens that may reveal who they really are, not the puppets that they use and the politicians that they use and, control. Look what happened. Like Jeffrey Epstein being in custody was like, oh my gosh, you don't understand. I mean, you probably do understand. I should stop saying you don't, but that's the key that'll unlock everything that's going on. It's the reason that the right wing is fake. It's the reason that Lindsey Graham is who he is. It's the reason that it's the key that unlocks all of politics, left wing, right wing, fake opposition. The Epstein thing will reveal all of that. Not just bad people who did evil stuff. That's part of the story. But the real part of the story besides that is who was he working for and how was he compromising politicians? Once you figure that out, American politics has been revealed. Many of us already know what's going on, and we've been trying to tell you for years now because it's so obvious if you just break the Murdoch media programming or you break the programming from the right wing who, everybody thinks is so trustworthy because they're beating up the left, but in reality, they're gatekeepers of a certain narrative that they can't let you figure out. So when Epstein was caught, that was the closest we ever got to the Matrix really, really being revealed. And what happened to Jeffrey Epstein should be basically symbolism for what really goes on. Donald Trump was president. He's an outsider. He elected Bill Barr, who already had connections with Epstein, despite the fact that Trump was in office, just like with Operation Warp Speed and the lockdowns. Trump couldn't stop the lockdowns. Trump couldn't stop the Operation Warp Speed. He didn't really provide much opposition to that. Some, but not much. With that being said, Epstein is if Trump really cared or really wanted to do something, he could put 20 FBI agents just standing around the guardhouse of Epstein, or he could, throw some Secret Service in there to keep an eye. Like, you're not talking about some bootleg prison. First of all, any prison needs high-level security because it's filled with a bunch of prisoners. With that being said, this is not just some dinky, rinky-dinky, it's just like a Motel 6 with bad cameras. Jeffrey Epstein is the most high-profile criminal in modern history, and the guards fell asleep? Jeffrey Epstein is the most high-level, you understand, prisoner in modern history, and the cameras didn't work? Under the Trump administration, they couldn't put somebody to keep an eye on him? Here's the truth. If they wanted to stop that from happening, they would have. No one cares. Maybe Trump does. Maybe he's really going to release the files, right? I want to believe this is all true. Like watching The Little Mermaid or something. It's like, you watch it, you watch Aladdin as a kid and you're like, oh, maybe I could put on a turban and fly on a magic carpet too. Or maybe it's just a cartoon. I hope that Trump really wants to release this stuff. I really do. I just, with all the information I've received, I just don't think he does. And I don't think it's a coincidence that he was in office when that happened to Epstein. It's like, oh, Hillary Clinton, ha, ha, ha. Okay, here's your vaccine. It's like, is that a spontaneous? Maybe. If it was, they don't have to release the Epstein files. This is the other side of me where I'm trying to be more optimistic, right? Trying to be positive. They didn't have to say they were going to release the Epstein files. Trump still would have won the election. They didn't have to say they were going to declassify it. Trump still would have won the election. Kamala Harris is so bad. Trump didn't have to say or do this in order to win. Like, people already forgot about it, to be honest. Like, they would have just moved on. Not everyone forgot about it, but enough people. It's like, oh, look what Kim Kardashian did today. Oh my gosh, whatever. Look at Travis Kelce. Oh my gosh, Taylor Swift. Oh, Kendrick Lamar. Whatever. So they didn't have to do this. Pam Bondi didn't have to put out an FBI thing. I do think to some extent, obviously we're not getting anything, but to some extent, I do believe that you know, they're poking a little bit and look at the response, you know? So it's still more interesting than Kamala being in, but let's see if there's any new information on the Epstein stuff. Let's see. I'm going to just refresh my feed. Business. I'm just reading an old article. It says James Comey's daughter is a lead prosecutor in Ghislaine Maxwell's child sex trafficking case. It's like James Comey's daughter was a lead prosecutor. Bill Barr had connections to a law firm that worked with Epstein. Acosta, who gave him a sweetheart deal, was Trump's Secretary of Labor. Pam Bondi was in Florida and could have reopened an investigation into Epstein. What a coincidence that all these people just are mysteriously in power. They can't find somebody that doesn't have connections to Epstein to be in power. It's like everybody's an Epstein person. Dude, here's an interesting, like, I'm not trying to downplay what happened, but it's like, dude, Epstein must have known how to like maneuver. Like it's fascinating that he got away with all this stuff like for so long. You know, that should be a movie, not like a fake sweep under the rug movie, but it's like, how in the world was he how did he get to everybody? You know, I mean, he must have had a lot of money and a lot of help. Cause like, how do you do that? I guess you just party with people and provide things. I don't, you know, I want to know more of that. Let's see. We got DC Drano. Let's see if he said anything. He's got a binder. Nobody's saying anything. They're just like, I feel like I'm watching Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the one with Gene Wilder, where it's like, I got a golden ticket. It's mine, Charlie. I got a golden chance to get Epstein. And you're like, okay, like they're dancing around with it for the camera. You're like, dude, I love a good Broadway play, but like, are you going to tell us what's in the binder? And they're just taking different selfies with it. They're like, I got a golden binder. Come watch my show, Charlie. I got a golden behind the paywall. Oh, I'll give it to you later. It's like, bro, like I don't think I could do that. I don't know. People are like, you want to do that. I'm not trying to compare because it's not a game of that. Like it's not, you know, like, I don't think I'd be like, look, I got it. I would instinctually know, like, I'm a journalist. I'm a news analyst. Why would I just show someone the outside of a binder? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would just think everybody would hate me. Like, I don't know. I'd just be like, I got it. They're like, what's in it? You're like, I don't know. Just tune in 10 hours later and I'll tell you part of it, you know? Speaking of which, these are at dreamrare.com. Get yourself a God bless beanie. You put them on your head. They keep your head warm. Also, if you're weird and have some sort of, you know, like you could put your hands in here, do that, just stretch out. It's not the right use for these hats, but you know, I've seen crazier stuff. So dreamrare.com, get yourself a hat or a hand warmer, you know, but it's not really for your hands. So that would be weird if you did it, but you could. Someone said Epstein is the same as the Jimmy Savile character. Yeah, he was a real dark person as well. Yeah, Jimmy Savile. Did they ever get to the bottom of that too, or did they just like stop talking about it? Let's see. I'm gonna read some. Someone said $100 super chat or no? Did you really? Did I? Oh, $100 super chat for each line of info, dude. That would be hilarious. They just come on YouTube and they're like, "Yo, every $100 you give me, I'll release one line." And they're like, "All right, here's the first line. Jeffrey Epstein was working with." I don't know. To read the second line, I need another one. I'm working on a video that has a more detailed report about this stuff, but it's, you know, there's a lot of reasons to think they're never going to tell us. Did I know Elon has a kid named Dark Sidereal? No, I don't know. I don't even know if that's true, but it sounds like it could be true because Elon does give his kids weird names. That's another interesting thing that I just stayed out of. Elon had another baby mama drama. I don't get into baby mama drama, but you know, I was entertained by it. Everyone was like, oh, this and that. And like, Ashley did this. And I'm just sitting there like, it wasn't me, but she caught me on the counter. Wasn't me sleeping with daddy Elon. It wasn't me. You know, I was just like, you know, you don't have to talk about everything. Sometimes you could just listen and observe, throw in the popcorn and just lay back on a, you know, on a Friday night Twitter. Someone said Epstein was a Mossad agent. That sounds anti-Semitic to me. We need more anti-Semitic speech laws. I mean, it may or may not be true, but the truth doesn't matter. It's hate speech. It's just hateful that you said that he was. I mean, that's just anti-Semitism. I mean, Ron DeSantis and Randy Fine need to pass another anti-Semitism IHRA definition of speech laws to stop anti-Semites like you running around with all that anti-Semitism. I wonder why they need speech laws. It's just so important to make sure that you can't talk about a certain group of people owning banking and media. It's just so hateful to say. It would be like if I said, like, you know, there's a lot of black people in the NBA. Not all, but a lot. People are like, oh my God, that's racist. I was like, it's a compliment. Or is it racist to say that there's a lot of black people in the National Basketball Association? I mean, Adam Silver's not black. He's Jewish. Oh, wait, no, I can't say that either. Oh my gosh. Never mind. It's not, never mind. We need more speech laws. We need some BLM speech laws too. You can't say Usain Bolt was black, because then you're saying that black people run fast, and that's just a anti-blackophobia. You know, we need some more speech laws, but we get anti-Semitism speech laws. You can't say that group of people dominates banking and media and owns things, because I guess that's just so hateful to say that or something. Do you get it though? Do you get the fact? Do you get that both parties are passing? Why would both parties pass speech laws for a foreign country and a group of people? It's almost like they're compromised or something. How are they compromised? I don't know. Could be lobbying money. Could be brainwashed. Could be could be something else. I don't know. I have no idea. No idea. Just can't figure it out, folks. I cannot figure that out. What could it be? It's like the Dan Bongino clip where I've been playing it nonstop because it's just so funny. But he's on Jeffrey. I'm sorry, he's on Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, he's on Tim Pool. He's on Tim Pool's show. I'm sure you've seen the clip because I posted it. And he's just like, I got intel. I was backstage at Fox News. And he's like, dude, a guy that really knows what's going on, like a journalist who has information. He told me that, like, Jeffrey Epstein might have worked for a country in the Middle East. And I don't know what country he worked for. I mean, I can't figure it out. But I mean, he worked for a country. But dude, isn't that crazy? I wonder what country in the Middle East he worked for. Darn, dude. Give me 5 years to figure this out. I'll be back in half a decade. I just can't figure it out, Dan Bongino. Which one could it be? Could it be the one getting the speech laws passed around our country? Could it be the one? Never mind. I don't know. Maybe it's Jordan. Maybe it's Lebanon. Maybe he's working for Lebanon. Epstein, Weinstein, Lebanon. It's got to be Lebanon, right? No, let me think. Epstein, Weinstein, Saudi Arabia. No, wait, no, that's more like I don't know. Could be like Yemen. Epstein, Yemen, maybe. I don't know. What do you guys? I don't. Never mind. It's not important. It's just we need another speech law. Sorry, this is getting so hateful. We need another speech law to prevent people from having the First Amendment in America, because the First Amendment is actually hate speech. Because 2,000 years ago, there were some really hateful people who followed Jesus Christ, and they were just so hateful. So people think I'm joking, but that has been referenced for the reason that they're passing these hate speech laws. They say 2,000 years ago, the disciples of Jesus were just so anti-Semitic. That's what somebody literally said. Started 2,000 years ago with Jesus's disciples. So we need Jesus' disciples speech law to punish Jesus's disciples in America. Yeah. Okay. Someone said you've triggered the wackos in the chat. I don't know. There's wackos all over the internet, and unfortunately, the craziest people seem to be the ones that want to comment, and the most. I'm not hating on people who comment, but it seems like the most Zen people are not commenting on social media that much. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but it's like, it's like when I go live on YouTube, it's always the most like jacked up. It's the same three people that are like, you're like, all right, dude, chill out. But I got it. Let's see. All right. Let's see if we got any new intel. Are they just going to tell us nothing? They're going to be like, Jeffrey Epstein, here's 10 things in Jeffrey Epstein's phone book. Ready for this, folks? Prime time right here. We're going to get into Jeffrey Epstein's phone books. First phone number Domino's Pizza. Oh my gosh, Domino's Pizza's in on it. Oh my gosh, it's not the people who met with Bill Gates. I'm not Bill Gates, Epstein. Bill Gates did meet with Epstein, but it's not the people who met with Epstein 30 times that we don't want you to look at, or the article's already pretty much telling you which country he worked for. It's Domino's Pizza. No, I'm just kidding. Domino's, don't sue me. This is a joke. This is comedy. But obviously, Domino's has nothing to do with it. But it's like, who's in his phone book? I don't know. Dude, he had an Uber Eats account. Oh my gosh, I wonder what that means. Yeah, no, we're just gonna look at his phone book. It's like, okay. Let's see. Anything else out? That would have been funny if they had Ye, formerly known as Kanye West. If Trump's group of influencers had like Ye there, that would have been funny. Obviously, like not the choice that Trump would pick, but just for comedic value, I just think that'd be funny. But it's obviously not going to happen. I just thought of like that as a skit in my head. It's like he's the only one with the book. Dude, the media would freak out. That would be like, what the hell? He's like, I'm not going to release it. I'm gonna make an album about it in 3 years. It's like, all right, guess we're not going to get it. Let's see. Why is nobody have anything? Brenna Morello, independent journalist, she says, bombshell claims the FBI is hiding Epstein documents from Attorney General Pam Bondi. These allegations are being made in a letter to Kash Patel. Told people that earlier. I'm already on it. The letter says that prior to Patel being sworn in, the FBI handed her 200-page of Epstein documents. Bondi claims she asked for all the Epstein documents. Bondi adds that she requested the documents that were sent to her office, but was assured by the FBI that she had received all the documents. Bondi said that yesterday she learned from a source at the FBI field office that they had more documents. The FBI never disclosed this. So, people are hiding documents from Pam Bondi. We need to let Pam Anderson Bondi get these documents so she could release them to Anna Paulina Luna so they could put on a fashion show holding up the binders for us normal peasants to finally get to look at them. So come on, hurry this up. Someone said Diddy. Diddy's an interesting one because obviously he's well connected, but I do think that he's the fall guy. I'm not saying he never did anything, but he's, in my opinion, with the groups that he was running in, Diddy's the disposable one where they're like, yeah, send him to the wolves so he takes all the attention so we don't get any attention. I'm not saying he's not connected. Obviously, Diddy's connected. But I don't know. To me, that even seems like the limited hangout. So then the public just says, Diddy. Oh, Diddy did it. Diddler. Like he's the new Bill Cosby, where they just throw him to the wolves. So everybody just blames him and not the people that he probably worked for. But who knows? This is a good question. Tryhard7 said, do I think most of these so-called conservatives hate the Tates more because they spoke out against Israel? 1,000%. If you look at Ben Shapiro's tweet, he mentions allegations. Trump has allegations. Everyone has allegations. That means someone accuses you. Accusations, allegations. It's like Trump has hundreds of allegations. It doesn't mean it's true. With Tate, he referenced accusations or allegations, and then he referenced that Tate supports terrorists. If you care about the allegations and accusations, or you think the allegations and accusations are true, or that you think that Andrew Tate's a pimp and you don't like his OnlyFans-esque work, then why would Ben Shapiro mention terrorists? What does terrorists have to do with being a pornographer? And if we're talking about pornography, what about OnlyFans and the guy who runs that who sent millions of dollars allegedly to AIPAC? Because the guy who runs OnlyFans is Jewish and he donates to AIPAC, which is an Israel lobby in America, or an American-Israeli alliance thing. What about Al Goldstein, the guy who normalized hardcore pornography in America? What did he say about Christians and Caucasians? Didn't he say he was purposely trying to defile them and he hates white people and Christians? Essentially, he called them WASPs at the time because that was a more trendy term. What about the lawyer who helped legalize pornography in America? Isn't he cozied up to the Republicans now? Isn't he on Fox News all the time? Look up which lawyer was instrumental in pushing pornography in America. So I'm just saying, it's like, if it's about pornography, we could talk about all the pornographers who pushed pornography in America, but Ben doesn't seem that interested in talking about that. Or the one who donates to AIPAC, Ben doesn't seem that interested in that. But with Andrew Tate, he says, he supports terrorists. What terrorists does Andrew Tate support? Andrew Tate says a lot of edgy stuff. And to be honest, he has a questionable past about what he was doing. But what Andrew Tate is doing is what OnlyFans is doing. Like all the people in OnlyFans is doing it. So you can't arrest Andrew Tate and blame Andrew Tate for making jokes on a podcast about what everybody's doing in this country because it's legal. You know, I'm not there. There's a moral conversation to be had, but yes, 100%. All the people, 95% of the people that are trying to, including Ron DeSantis, who are trying to basically throw Andrew Tate out of the country or arrest him, his Israel stance has a lot to do with it. Absolutely. They're not going to say it does because it doesn't make sense, but if you listen to them enough, they'll let you know. Someone said I don't know what you're saying, but let's see if there's any more information. Such a clown show. Sorry, I wish I had more intel to give you guys. I mean, I'm enjoying myself, but my plan was to tell you what I thought, tell you what's going on, give you all the information available, and I was thinking that like one of these influencers would release the information, but they probably don't even have any information. Think about how lame this is too. And I'm not blaming, I like a lot of the influencers there. I'm not blaming them. It's not their fault, but it's like, think about how lame it is to get a phase 1 of Epstein that you're not showing people. And even when you show them, it's not going to be anything. And all you did was hold it for a photo op in order to like gain clout, like you're doing something. It's like, it's lame. And I like a lot of the people there. I'm not trying to burn bridges. I'm not saying it's their fault. Like if the White House invites you as a journalist to go and you want to go, there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of these people, want to reveal to the public what's going on. But it's just like the way this has been done has been so dumb. And then the task force that was established to release them doesn't even know about it. They didn't even get the documents. Why wouldn't you give the documents to Anna Paulina Luna? Why would you only give it to like DC Drano? I don't care. Like it should be shown to everybody. I'm just saying like I don't get why they did this. It's just it's a really dumb release of it. Let's see what we got. Sorry, I'm just trying to go through it. There's a lot of redacted. Did anybody post anything? I literally have nothing. I can't believe no one posted anything, even though it's nothing. Candace Owens said, something about this Epstein release doesn't feel authentic. Why do we need phases of the release, and why not just release it to the entire public at large to comb through? My guess, without being too hateful about it, is that so many people in Republican media have allegiance to the country that Epstein probably worked for. So they're not going to tell people because it's going to shatter their entire brand and existence. But who knows? Did I see Benny Johnson's report on it? No, I could go to his Twitter, though. I'm sure he has somebody there. I mean, he hasn't. His Twitter has nothing. He just has everything that everyone else and the letter that I showed you guys. So Sovereign Bra on Twitter. I'm just reading I'm trying to give you guys like an assortment of what everyone's saying. Sovereign Bra on Twitter said, let's do a PR shoot with the biggest Zionist influencers on social media to make people believe we're actually going to do something. That is funny, but it's also hate speech. So we got to call DeSantis and Randy Fine to pass some more speech laws to stop that comedy from getting through. But that was a funny take from Sovereign Bra that I completely condemn, by the way, but also kind of true. Did I say true? Yeah. Anyway, let's see. Someone said a former friend of Alan Dershowitz is one of the people leading the release of the Epstein documents. I don't know. I'm just browsing. I'm not going to stay too long. I mean, it looks like they're not going to actually give us anything. I said pretty much what I thought. Let me know what you guys think. I'm going to read some of the best comments on here. I appreciate you guys being here live. Without you, there's no show. So I want to reward some of you for being here. Let's see. Is it hate speech to say that jet engines can't melt steel beams? Yeah, well, it is hateful because conspiracy theories lead to hate. So yeah, that's a conspiracy theory, and that's very hateful. So it is hate. There's a lot of hate in the world. There's people who talk about men and women's sports. There's people who talk about immigration. There's people who talk about religion, race. Everything is hateful. So yeah, that would definitely fall under the category of hate speech. Not necessarily the anti-Semitism speech laws, but I'm sure there's other infringements in this world. Renee said, just a distraction from all of the other evil that they're doing. Yeah. Kirk said $5 million visas is disgusting. I haven't taken the time to really think about what I think about the $5 million visa. It's definitely pretty wild, but I can't say I'm pro or anti it right now because I like to be patient and know what I'm talking about. And I don't want to have a knee-jerk reaction. I mean, I don't know. It's what I will say is this: people like Vivek Ramaswamy and others, maybe he'll change his tune now that he realizes people don't like it. But he'll be like, "America's an idea." Even Reagan used to say this. He used to be like, "Every other country, you can't go to France and be a Frenchman, but you can come to America and be an American." This is true. America is a beautiful place. But before the Hart-Celler Act, it really wasn't like anyone can just come from anywhere in the world. And it's like he said no one can go to France and be a Frenchman, yet France is doing the same thing that we're doing now, and they're letting people in all over the world. And now that's changed. Like the idea of what a nation is has changed. And I don't think America is an idea, and I don't think the land doesn't matter. It's not to say anyone can't come here, but you are who you're surrounded by. So it's like if you let in a certain group of people to certain demographic extents and then things change, then the country changes as well, the culture changes, the language might change. Like there are things that actually matter, like yes and no. So it's like I'll say that about what you were saying. But anyway, let's see some of the comments. Will Alex Jones get the files since he kissed so much Elon behind? I don't know. I'm sure Alex will be like, he'll just scream like, this is huge, they're covering it up, here it is, it's there, it's all over the place, where's the Epstein files? Oh my gosh, Nancy Pelosi has a nuclear bomb. It's like, dude, that's what I think of Alex. I used to really like and respect Alex. Since then, I feel like he's very phony on the topic that actually matters, that connects all the dots. Alex mysteriously plays dumb on. But I was listening to him in the shower one day, and he literally was talking about nuclear bombs going to hit America. Oh my God. And it's like, bro, I don't like unhealthy people. And I know he's worked out, but it's like, he's not healthy. He's not a healthy guy to listen to. He's screaming like you're going to get bombed, Nancy Pelosi, nuclear. Do you think I would ever go live and be like nuclear threat? It's like that. He's boiling people's blood pressure. So I'm not, he has a good past, but I kind of really don't like Alex Jones anymore. I don't hate him. I respect what he's done in the past, but I don't trust him. I don't like him. I don't like his energy. I don't think he's honest. He's been doing what I'm doing, except to a different extent, for 30 years. Yet the most important, top of the pyramid of what's really going on in the world, he mysteriously doesn't know anything about. And it doesn't want to talk about because he's afraid to. Something's off with that guy. But he's got some people who work for him who speak the truth on these topics, but he just won't do it. I don't know why. Maybe something to do with the lawsuit, or maybe he just has always been that way, or maybe he's just kind of got the boomer brain a little bit, even though he's not a boomer. I don't know. I have no idea. What do I think of Yoel Alter? Did the mainstream media not report on it due to the anti-Semitism laws? I mean, I don't know. No, I didn't hear about it. I don't know what that is. And I doubt they didn't report on it because of the anti-Semitism hate speech rules. They probably just don't report on it because they're biased. I don't want to speak too much on it, but when it comes to Israel and that guy who's the front and center of what's going on now, where they're like, look what happened. I don't know enough about it, so I'm not going to speak in absolutes because I don't know it's true. But counter people that report both sides of it are saying that he's saying that what the government's saying is not necessarily true. There's I'm not saying this happened because I don't know, but I do know that there is something called a Hannibal Directive. You could look it up. The Hannibal Directive is where they basically shoot at they'll shoot at the terrorists, but also kill their own people in order to not have people be taken into hostage. So a lot of counter journalists are doing journalism saying, It was actually them who shot and killed everybody, or killed a large group of people. It's not that Hamas didn't kill anybody, and it's not that Hamas, I'm not making any excuses for Hamas, but like the Hannibal Directive is real. It's searchable. It's not debated. So there's an angle of that most people that tune into Fox News and Ben Shapiro, they're never going to hear that side of it because they're just being filled with like nonstop propaganda. But if you want to be reasonable and be like, okay, there's bad people there, but this also like there is an element of that a lot of people just they literally don't know. But I'm not going to speak on it because I don't know which way it went, but I see both sides of it. And it seems like, the other side that I see that is challenging the narrative, you're not allowed to challenge the narrative. They just call you like Hamas. Yeah. Haaretz. I've explained this to my audience. Haaretz is the oldest Israeli publication. I'm not saying they're perfect, but they're the most historic Israeli publication in the world. They reported that the Hannibal Directive took place, which is Israel shot at their own in order to kill Hamas, and it's a strategy that they have. And when that was reported, Haaretz is being sanctioned by Israel because Israel does not allow anybody to, report against their agenda. So it's like, even if what you're saying is true, if it goes against their war propaganda or their narrative, they won't, they do what they can to, strong arm you. But the thing is, Haaretz is probably really powerful too, because they've been in Israel for a while. So there's a huge dynamic within Israel. And it's, the right-wing Zionist or media will claim, oh, it's the left wingers just fighting the right wingers. It's just the liberals versus Netanyahu who's based. Maybe there's an element of that, but the reality of it is that's not really the reality of it. It's more like Haaretz does real reporting and real journalism. And, the government of Israel does not want them to do journalism, because it would be like if I did journalism and I said, the United States is funding terrorist organizations in the Middle East. Their entire premise of the war is convincing you on Fox News and MSNBC that the terrorists, we need to go kill the terrorists. What if you found out factually that America was funding the terrorist organization, or America was propping them up in order to knock them down like pins to justify their war? You wouldn't support the war. So when Haaretz came out and talked about the Hannibal Directive, that's such a massive, whether it's true or not for every element of the story, it's not only a huge story, it's literally like you can't know anything without knowing that. Dude, have you ever heard that reported on Fox? Well, Ben Shapiro, no, they can't allow you to know that, because if you knew that, you wouldn't think and feel the way you felt, and you would start asking questions. And if you start asking questions, then you're not, it's like the left wing. If you knew what happened between Ukraine and Russia and the real history of it, you wouldn't be such a drone. Maybe you'd still support Ukraine over Russia, sure, but you wouldn't be such a sycophant and a dum-dum. Like, they don't want you to know both sides of the story and come to a conclusion and be realistic, because then you're not useful. It's better if you're 100% on one side, 0% on another side. And I have friends that are Jewish that are very pro-Israel. And, my old neighbors and stuff, I used to chat just about stuff with them, and they were cool. They were conservative, like really great people, super pro-Israel. I would talk, and, I don't say much. Like, I'm not trying to get too political with my neighbors, because it's just, I value people for who they are, not like their politics. But they had mentioned to me, like, even though they're pro-Israel, they thought that, the October 7th, they found it very bizarre that, Israel has, like, everybody knows Israel has like such good defense, such good, counter weapons. They've stopped so many missiles with the Iron Dome. It's incredible. Like, Israel's technology is fantastical. Charlie Kirk talked about this on PBD, and I haven't heard him talk about it since. But he was like, how did this happen? Like, how did hand gliders and paragliders or whatever get through the border to do this? And then Haaretz reports that Israel potentially, possibly used a Hannibal Directive to I just look up what that means. I don't feel like talking about it that much because I don't want to get in trouble. But it's like, even my neighbor that's pro-Israel, it's like, I believe that they could have stopped that if they wanted to. But I don't know that for sure, and I'm not claiming that. But like, even pro-Israel people think that, because it's like, how in the world have you stopped the most technological weapons on earth, but you couldn't stop a paraglider? Like, but it's not my place to really talk about it, because you're not really allowed to talk about it. You get blacklisted from the right wing. They won't report on it. And this is all I'm saying. Haaretz, they're not perfect. I'm not shilling for them by any means, but Haaretz has the balls and the journalistic integrity to report things that are not always so favorable for Israel, but true. And the government is sanctioning them. You know, I mean, America has its own problems, so it's not like our press is perfect and our government's perfect. They've done shady things to like New York Post when Biden was running. So I'm not saying this is exclusive to Israel and it's so bad and it never happens in America. Yeah, it kind of happens in America too. You know, it happened to the New York Post to the Hunter Biden story. They blacklisted that story so Joe Biden could win, so they could start the war in Ukraine with their puppet Zelensky. So it's like, you know, these things are real. Someone said Anomaly is parroting Al Jazeera BS. First of all, I don't read Al Jazeera. Second of all, I don't watch Al Jazeera. Third of all, I'm referencing Haaretz, which is the oldest Israeli publication. So you got to up your propaganda. If you want to get into the arena with me, into the intellectual arena, you're going to need better propaganda. You can't say I'm referencing Al Jazeera when I don't read Al Jazeera. I never reference Al Jazeera. And I'm referencing Haaretz, an Israeli Jewish publication that has been sanctioned by Israel for not pushing Al Jazeera's narrative, for pushing their own narrative about what they've shown proof happened. They have the proof. They published it and they got in trouble. It's nothing to do with Al Jazeera. Are there going to be overlaps in the fact? Is Al Jazeera going to report that Haaretz reported that? Of course they are. But it doesn't change the reality of the situation. You know, sometimes the Daily Beast publishes real stuff. Sometimes you know, AP will release a real headline. I think your Murdoch media brain is malfunctioning. You're like, oh, my propaganda. It's like we're short circuit. You're like, let me go watch Sean Hannity and Mark Levin. I'm freaking out. It's got to be Al Jazeera. It's got to be left wing. It's like, no, sorry, it's not. It's a publication in the country that you like. So I don't know what to tell you, but it's nothing to do with Al Jazeera. Trump just extended Biden's sanctions against Russia for another year. Fascinating. Just open the Epstein files. The first one is all redacted. The first influencer to actually open this is nuance, bro. My old buddy. He said the first influencer to actually open the Epstein files binder and actually post page 1 instead of just showing the cover of the binder is going to get a bunch of engagement, yet none of them have done it yet. Why? Some sort of news embargo? Yep. I mean, that's a good point. It's like if any of them published a page from the Epstein files, they would get so much press that they probably want. Yet they're not doing it. Interesting. All right, let's see. Vivek Ramaswamy's post. He said, math, reading, science, civics, fitness. These are the basic foundations of primary education. Shouldn't be controversial. I believe that I came up with the term calling him ChatGPT because when he first came around, everything he did to me seemed so fake. And I know people hate when I say this, but he's just like, math, science, education. I mean, this should not be controversial. It's like, bro, that's what you just like give me like 7 things and just like give me a phrase. Like it doesn't seem human. The way he talks, it doesn't seem soulful. It doesn't seem authentic. It seems so scripted. I have learned how to act like a confident male through my, debate club. It's like, cool, bro. But good luck. Good luck. Let's see. Adrian Norman, DC, said, it's crazy to expect that incriminating information would be in these Epstein files with not a single person being perp walked. Evidence of human trafficking crimes posted publicly would destroy ongoing investigations. Drip, drip. Real disclosure would come with arrests. Yeah, this is true. The binder came with an NDA. That's a good point. What's the point? Like, if that's the truth, it's like, how in the world? What's the point of all this? I'm going to finish my video and release it tomorrow because I was waiting to see what they released. I was assuming that they weren't going to really show much, but I always keep my options open. Dennis in all capitals. I'm just going to read this. He said, I'm going to yell it because when you type in all caps, it seems like you're yelling. Dennis on Facebook said, I don't, when you trolls who attack him are going to get this. You're going up against a very independent, knowledgeable man, not some political pirate puppet. Are you defending me, Dennis? Thank you. I don't know if you're defending me or not, but if you're defending me with that spirit, thank you. If you're attacking me with that spirit, not thank you. I don't know. Anyway, read a few more, then we'll just end it. Maybe take the heat off Doge. What I think and what I'm going to make a case for is that the people, this is my hypothesis, which is, of course, hate speech, even though it's not. It's just based on all the information that I've seen and researched. Epstein worked for a foreign country. Trump works for the same foreign country. I'm not saying he doesn't work for America too, but it's like the same country that Epstein worked for. Almost every, if not every journalist at that release file, it runs PR for to some extent, or has such a loyalty to that country for one reason or another that they're not even, not only are they not remotely critical, they're just not in the business of ever like telling people about it. So, it's like people could say, oh, they're just taking the heat off Doge. I like Trump more than Kamala. I voted for Trump. It's not hard to figure out which group of people that Trump works for, which country that Trump works for. It's not hard. Who are some of his biggest donors? What is his foreign policy? Who does he benefit with his foreign policy? And also, what speech laws does Donald Trump pass? What speech laws does Ron DeSantis pass? What speech laws does Nikki Haley pass? What's the first thing that Speaker Johnson said he was going to do? Because it wasn't for the United States of America. It was for a different country. Elise Stefanik, who Trump hired, she has a piss poor rating when it comes to American conservative voting. There's websites that hold constitutional voting. I believe she's an F or a D. Like, she has horrible track record with voting with the conservative, liberty-minded Americans. Guess what rating she has for a foreign country? 100%. And she brags about it. She says, I voted for every bill for this country. But for our movement in our country, you have an F or a D. So what does it mean if you're a D and an F on American conservative patriotism, but you're an A+ for a foreign country? It's not hard to figure out what's going on, folks. I don't know what to tell you outside of nobody at Fox News is going to tell you. They're not going to tell you at Daily Wire. They're not going to tell you at PragerU. Mark Levin's not going to, none of these people, they're going to do everything that they can to not tell you. And then people like James Lindsay, Seth Dillon, Konstantin Kissin, and that group are going to run around trying to not blacklist, but smear and try to frame people against Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, and anybody else who does get it. Tucker Carlson knows this. He talks about it sometimes. That's why they go after Tucker Carlson. Candace Owens knows this. She talks about it. That's why they go after Candace Owens. It's not a mystery. It's not some sort of I wonder why they're doing this or that. It's both parties, including people that you like and that you trust and that you think are going to fix it. Oh, Pam Bondi's going to release the files. She was in Florida for 6 years beforehand. Maybe she's trying. Maybe it's above her pay grade and she's a good person. I have no idea, but she was in Florida. She could have opened new investigations into Epstein. In fact, she was the one who could have done it for almost half a decade, and she didn't. And then she replaced a guy who noticed the anti-Semitism speech laws, and then publications were cheering on it because Pam Bondi wants to crack down on protesters who protest a certain country. Ron DeSantis, it could not possibly be more obvious. The only reason people don't get it is because their mind is filled with 5-6 years of fake opposition programming, left versus right programming. I watched Mark Levin for 4 years. I listen to Sean Hannity. Ben Shapiro tells me what I need to know. They can't fathom it because they've been fed intel that prevents them from understanding what's going on. Is it for sure because of Jeffrey Epstein? No, it's definitely not. But it's there's so many gems that you could find about this stuff. And the thing is, presidents used to know this. Presidents used to talk about it. And the last president who publicly talked about this, what I'm talking about, in a different and edgier way than I'm talking about it, was removed from the White House. If you want to do some research, look up what Richard Nixon said to Billy Graham. Billy Graham was one of the most powerful evangelicals in the world. This was in the 70s? I'm trying to think of the time period, but everybody knows Billy Graham if you're a Christian. Go find the audio tape of what Billy Graham said to Richard Nixon. It's considered anti-Semitism because he said, these people run the press or run pornography. And he's like, they're going to destroy America. That's what he said. I'm not saying it. That's what he said. Paraphrased. He said it to Richard Nixon. And do you know what Richard Nixon said? He said, I know, essentially. He's like, yeah, I know. And then Richard Nixon got removed from office. Richard Nixon also talked about dual loyalty. And he said, some people have it, some people don't. But I noticed the ones in Congress who have dual loyalty. There's never been anyone like that since then. Nobody's talked about it. Nobody's mentioned it. You know, Google, like I just said, the Times of Israel article about Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky and who was using that tape for leverage to get a foreign spy back. The same foreign spy who went back to the country on Trump's biggest donor's jet. It's not a mystery. It's not a mystery. It's only a mystery to people that can't, like, how can you not figure it out? The brain broken guy in the comments says Anomaly needs to go kiss Ilhan Omar. He loves her, really. Dude, you're so like level 1 brainwashed. You're like phase 1 Epstein files. You're brainwashed. I don't like Ilhan Omar. We disagree on like 95% of politics. I think she's one of the worst and dumbest politicians we have. But your brain is so broken. You've been filled with 5 years of propaganda that you think that everybody who does this is Ilhan Omar. You're caught in a false paradigm. It's like right-wingers who think everything's Trump, or it's like, oh, AOC. It's like they're just throwing these figures at you. And I'll say this slowly so someone with your IQ can understand, but you're going to have to really listen and comprehend, which you probably can't do. You can listen, but you probably can't comprehend. The last time Ilhan Omar was really in the press for saying something anti-Semitic, quote unquote, Republicans kept telling people like you, Ilhan Omar, Ilhan Omar, Ilhan Omar, Ilhan Omar. And they used Ilhan Omar as justification to pass speech laws in America and anti-protest laws. They use her, they elevate her because she's so stupid as a vehicle to infringe on your First Amendment. And you haven't figured it out. And as soon as you figure it out, you know, they don't allow you to get positions in Republican media because they can't afford to have you telling people this, because then they'll look stupid and fake because they are either fake or stupid. So the entire Republican media matrix structure is built to not allow you to know this. I don't need anything from anyone else. So I'm not saying this from a position of envy or jealousy, but do you think I couldn't have success in other fields? I've gotten over 1 billion views. I reach over 150 million people at this point with all platforms a month. I'm bigger than most of these people. I've done it with no media, no, fancy cameras or anything. Yet they constantly just elevate some random person that just blew up like 5 seconds ago. It's not a coincidence and it's not a competition. I know who they elevate and I know who they don't elevate. Can we use you as a pawn? Then we'll hire you. Can we use Candace Owens as a vehicle to push our politics? Then we'll hire Candace Owens. Oh, wait, Candace Owens woke up and she's doing news reports that expose what we won't expose. We got to fire her. Now we got to hire somebody else black that can't figure this out and smear all the black people that do figure it out. This is how Republican media works. All these faces that you see on Fox News, they're carefully selected. Jesse Waters seems like a really smart and nice guy. I don't dislike Jesse Waters, but if Jesse Waters ever spoke the truth of what Tucker Carlson spoke the truth at, Jesse Waters would be doing the same thing Tucker Carlson's doing, which is podcasting independently. So, there's a certain structure similar to like a vaccine mandate. It's like, you can't work here without a vaccine mandate. It's the same thing with Republican media. If you do not nonstop push propaganda on this topic, you can't work here. If you ever expose how we're using this propaganda, and I'm not saying to like Ilhan Omar, I can't stand Ilhan Omar, but the fact that your brain goes to Ilhan Omar or Al Jazeera just shows that you've been programmed. I don't read Al Jazeera. I don't like Al Jazeera. They're a left-wing publication that disagrees with me politically, but they have a pro-Palestine and a critical Israel stance, right? So that's why you're bringing them up, because you've been told everyone who's critical of Israel is Al Jazeera. So when I bring up Haaretz, who's an Israeli publication who did a factual report on the Hannibal Directive, and you say Al Jazeera, that's your broken programmed brain being like, I can't handle, I believe everything's Ilhan Omar, Al Jazeera. You've been programmed to think that way, so you're not able to retain the truth if Candace Owens or Tucker Carlson or Haaretz tells you, even though they have nothing to do with Al Jazeera. Someone said Ilhan Omar's your hero. Well, I feel bad for you. I mean, There's better people out there to idolize. I would say Ilhan Omar is not, she's going to lead you in the wrong path 95% of the time. It's like people like Joy Reid. They're wrong about everything, and then they just say Gaza, but it's like they're, it's like she's like, I'm standing up for the trans, I'm standing up for black, I'm standing up for women, I'm standing up for Gaza. It's like a broken clock is right twice a day, but they don't even know why they're right. They see everything through this victim mentality complex, and like they try to pick this party over that party, but that shouldn't change your view on, you understand like what Joy Reid says or what this person says. Obviously, I'm not asking you to trust Joy Reid, but if you're really an honest person, you want to know what's true. Not what Joy Reid says, not what Ben Shapiro says, not what Jesse Waters says, or, Laura Ingraham. Laura Ingram's on Twitter today saying, yeah, we're kicking anti-Semitism out of schools. Yeah, Trump's going after anti-Semitism. Yeah. And I asked Laura Ingraham, I said, Laura, have you ever read the anti-Semitism hate speech rules being passed into schools? Because there's a few things that Laura Ingraham either knows and is being malevolent, or she doesn't know and she's being naive. I said, Laura, one of the anti-Semitism rules says that certain biblical discussion around who kills Jesus is anti-Semitism. It's basically saying part of the Bible is anti-Semitic. So you're passing hate speech laws for a group of people that doesn't like Jesus to persecute people who do like Jesus. That's what you're doing. You could frame it some other way, like you're fighting terrorists, but that's what you're really doing. Also, Laura Ingraham talks about certain Jewish billionaires like a George Soros. I'm sure she talks about them all the time. That's protected under the anti-Semitism hate speech laws. There have been entire countries and groups and organizations that have been smeared as anti-Semitic for talking about George Soros's involvement, including India for saying George Soros was funding, elections in their country. And the State Department of the United States said that India was being anti-Semitic. So I said, Laura, not only are you doing that, but you actually break anti-Semitism rules all the time. Before you start cheering on these hate speech thought crime rules in a school, why don't you read them and realize that you violate them probably every couple of weeks on your show? So why would you want to pass hate speech phrases into legislation, into schools, into the official definition of a state, into law? Like, why would you want to do that when you violate the hate speech rules? Why are you for hate speech? Because do you understand what I'm saying? If you're not totally brainwashed, there's one topic that it just doesn't add up. We're against foreign aid, but not for that country. We're against hate speech laws, but not for that country. We're against this, but not for that. We're against that. So what, this is the Republican Party. It's like, if hate speech doesn't work for black people or for black causes, if hate speech doesn't work for Christians, if you don't want hate speech rules for your own race and your own gender, why would it work for a foreign country and another group of people? You go on these stages, you get paid thousands of dollars to speak in front of schools, and you tell the kids that the reason hate speech rules and hate speech isn't a real thing is because a lot of people just hate the truth. And even if you're having edgy discussion, the First Amendment allows people to speak freely, and it allows for peace and a general discussion. And when you start taking away speech and arresting people for speech or persecuting them for speech, it does the opposite of the effect it intends to have. Like they make the case for free speech all the time. They say hate speech doesn't work. This is my take on it. I don't want to speak to be hateful. Hate speech rules doesn't work. It doesn't stop people from thinking things. It just makes certain thoughts a thought crime. So why would Laura Ingraham support thought and speech crimes for anti-Semitism when she's constantly on her show made a point to say that they don't work? But why would they work for that country? Because they're a victim and it worked. But I thought you said that black people shouldn't think that way. I thought you said that black people shouldn't have these speech laws. They constantly say that black people shouldn't have reparations. Okay, sure. What about another group of people? Kathy Hochul gave reparations to another group of people. There's reparations all over the world being given to a certain group of people. You'll never hear a Republican talk about that. And the point that I'm getting to is this is why a lot of people hate Republicans. This is why nobody trusts Republicans that's smart, left-wing or right-wing. It's not the fact that they're edgy, haha. They're just frauds. It's like, if you don't agree with reparations across the board, then do that. If you do agree with reparations, then do it. But you can't say that they don't matter because the past is over, but then give other groups of people money for the past because the past is not over, and speech laws because the past isn't over. If it's over, like, you understand what I'm saying? Once you figure this out, this is everything. This is the key to unlock what's really going on and why Republicans trip over their own feet all the time. Hodge Twin said, this is embarrassing. Post what's in the binder. Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to end this live stream soon. So I really can't. I can't stay for too long. Like, I mean, I can, but I'm just saying in general, I don't want to stay and be like, well, you know, what I'm trying to say is I don't think they're going to give any information right now. And I think that I could stay for 5 hours and there's not going to be it. This is comic Dave Smith, who is Jewish, by the way. So this can't be anti-Semitism because Dave Smith is Jewish and, you know, but he said, I'm starting to think that handing the Mossad pedophiles to a bunch of Zionists might not be the best way to get the truth to the public. That's a really funny joke by Dave Smith, but it is flirting on the lines of hate speech and anti-Semitism. But, you know, shout out to comic Dave Smith for doing comedy. I don't know, you know, that I'm sure Ron DeSantis will hear that joke and be like, oh my gosh, we got to pass another speech rule that Laura Ingraham can promote on her show. Anyway, yeah, dude, I like Dave Smith, man. I think he's funny. Glenn Beck said, who is subverting POTUS? The Epstein files are a total joke. I know Cash, Pam, and the president. This is not the file. White House tells me that they believe the usual suspects, FBI, SDNY, has the actual Epstein client list and are refusing to turn it over. This is an internal civil war if true. He does that in all caps. This is an internal civil war. It's like, dude, relax, bro. It's like they always got to do like this thing where it's a civil war. Like Tim Pool's like, it's a war. He's like, it's a war. It's a war. It's a war. It's a civil war. It's a civil war. It's just a war. Alex, there's a war between the Nancy Pelosi and the war. It's a war. I'm gonna bring on Dan Bongino to talk about the Civil War. It's like, bro, you're not, you and your beanie are not, there is no Civil War, bro. You podcast and make a fortune off of just like hyping up headlines. I get it. We all post a headline and get clicks, but you know, relax, dude. Was there not a Civil War when Jeffrey Epstein mysteriously just got disappeared from prison under the Trump administration and nobody did anything about it or even had cameras to prove it? Like, it wasn't a civil war then, but now it's a big fight. It's like, bro, he disappeared under Trump's administration and a year and a half later, we're in a lockdown and Trump's selling vaccines. It's like, but I'm the bad guy for being skeptical. People are like, you just don't have faith. I have faith in the Lord. I don't have faith in these politicians. I don't have faith in Elon Musk. I like Elon Musk, sort of, but I don't have faith in him. I like Donald Trump, sort of, but I don't have faith in him. You know, I like some of these people. It's just like, why would I trust people? I trust my research and my intuition, where it's like I'm laying out, like when I do these news reports, it's not like I just go up here and I say, I just think these things because I heard them on the news, or I think these things because I just think them. I'm good at what I do. I'll show you why I think what I think because I respect your intelligence. I know my audience, not everybody, but most people. I know that my audience, they're not dumb. They know things that I don't know. I know things that they don't know. We're all teaching each other. So out of the respect for your intelligence, when I do these long form news reports, I don't just say, just believe me because I'm your leader. I've never done that. I say, here, like I'll make a video with like 50 proof videos, article. It's journalism where I'm like, here's how I came to the conclusion. This is why I think what I think. I think any reasonable person would see these 50 things, and there's never any response to these things. Like the response is like James Lindsay being like, yeah, I mean, if Epstein worked for Israel, it just is what it is. But I mean, it's going to be like a George Floyd level riot. It's like, what are you talking? Like, why are you running cover for the Epstein files? It's weird, bro. And there's like, oh, you're Al Jazeera. I don't read Al Jazeera. I don't care about Al Jazeera. I've probably referenced Al Jazeera very few times out of every publication. I've referenced New York Times more. I've referenced New York Post more. I've referenced Reuters, AP. I would say Al Jazeera is pretty low on the list of news sources I've ever used for a research video. And I do it because I know, Al Jazeera is funded by Qatar. And although a lot of media is corrupt, like I don't, I know like BBC is Britain and France has one, but it's like, I don't I'm not trying to use like a foreign press very often for news sources, to be honest. If I could find it somewhere else, I'd rather share that. What I find frustrating, $10 super chat from a guy with a smiley face emoji. That's your name, smiley face, like glance emoji. He said, what I find frustrating about the flagrant corruption is that a lot of people denounce it on social media, but no one talks about what it is about. Should we just complain and wait for Jesus? I mean, if you're going to wait for Jesus, I wouldn't complain, because what's the point? But I mean, I would just say, I think the best way to do citizen journalism is peacefully, respectfully, but accurately, strongly. You don't have to be a dick about it, but I would say just be honest. Honesty does well. Honesty does well in top comments. Honesty does well. If you're honest and effective, you don't have to be mean. With that being said, and this is not just me lecturing you, this is myself as well. I've had to learn this. Patience. Everybody doesn't get what you want them to get when you want them to get them, but I do notice that people are starting to get more stuff. So you understand what I'm saying? I would just do what you can, but be patient and do not stress about it. I'm going to read Cernovich, because Cernovich got the files. He said, there was a meeting scheduled previously to discuss new media already on the calendar. AG Pam Bondi has been stonewalled by SDNY and the FBI. She wanted to get out what they had, which wasn't anything material. Embargo was till 3, but photographers had captured binders. Okay, I got that. Shane Cashman said, I think he works for Tim Pool. I think Shane's funny. I've never seen him on video, but his tweets are funny. Shane Cashman said, Trump should text every American the JFK files. Dude, how funny would that be? You just get a text from Trump, like 1-800-TRUMP, and it's just the JFK files. I mean, that would be a little intrusive privacy-wise, but that is transparency. I do think that would be, I think that would be actually really funny. Let's see. I'll look one more time before I get out. Get out of here. Get out of here. That's my Italian impression. I'll work on it. I'm a quarter Italian, so it's 25% authentic, 75% acting. Get out of here. I mean, nobody's saying anything. I'm not going to keep you guys. All right. I'll let you know. I'm going to finish my detailed report probably later today, release it tomorrow. It'll be interesting. I mean, this is one thing about the Trump administration. Everything is just so much more interesting. And I know people could say, oh, that doesn't matter. I don't know. I couldn't do 4 years of Kamala. Like, it's just too dark. 4 years of Kamala is like a dark cloud over your head, and everybody's like, you know, but it's good for you. The rain's good for you. Yeah, but I just don't want to live in Seattle where it rains all the time. And I know it doesn't rain that hard in Seattle, but you get what I'm saying. I couldn't do four more years of Kamala. Like, now, interesting things are happening. Things are talking. Someone said you look 75% Italian. No, I'm 25%. Someone said 75% Jewish. No, I'm not Jewish, but people think I'm Jewish sometimes. Sometimes people think I'm Arab. Sometimes people think I'm Armenian. I have one of those faces where I could go to any country and I could fit in. So, you know, like Italians, well, I don't want to say that because then people will say I'm being hateful, but yeah, I don't know. Some people think I'm like really Spanish when I get tan and stuff, but just to disclose if people are really wondering, I've said this before, by the way, but I'm a quarter Italian. I'm a quarter Polish. I'm a quarter Czechoslovakian. And I'm a quarter Puerto Rican or part Puerto Rican. My grandma was from Puerto Rico, but you know, I've never taken a DNA test. So I that's all I know. I'm sure I'm like mixed other stuff. I think my Puerto Rican grandma, she used to tell me that she was like a small part German. I just remember her saying that. So I don't know. Italian, Polish, Puerto Rican, Czechoslovakian, maybe very small percentage German. I'm not really 100% sure, but I would love to take a DNA test to find out and let you guys know. I just don't want to give my DNA to Susan Wojcicki's sister, Ann Wojcicki or whatever at 23andMe. But I do want to know what my ethnicity is, because someone said Jewish people look more Puerto Rican than Italian. I don't know. I mean, it depends. I think there's different people that look different things, but Puerto Rico, there's a lot of light-skinned people in Puerto Rico. There's darker-skinned people in Puerto Rico. If you look up the Puerto Rican like superstar Bad Bunny, I think I kind of look similar to him, not completely, but I think we kind of look a little bit similar. Some people say I look like a light-skinned Drake, which I've never seen, but I think it's funny. An Uber driver told me I look like Cat Stevens one time, and I had to look up a picture of Cat Stevens. I saw the parallel. I was at the mall the other day, and some guys were like, "You look like John Wick." I guess with my jacket, they thought I looked like Keanu Reeves with my hair down. So I don't know. Everybody seems to think I'm somebody else all the time. I don't mind. Someone said, so if Anomaly is Hispanic, should he be accountable for every MS-13 drug cartel and every evil Hispanic group? This is a good point. I'm glad you brought this up because this is like a good counter. You know, you're like, so if Anomaly is part Hispanic, does that mean he's responsible? Here's the difference between me and certain people of other ethnic groups. I don't run cover for the cartels. I don't run cover for MS-13. I don't call everything anti-Hispanophobe. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm just being honest. Like, no one of any race really does that except for like a few races. I feel like I'm not trying to be edgy, but like, you know, Black and Jewish do that more than any other group. I'm not saying no one else does it, but you're racist, you're this, you're that. Like if you talk about crime in a city, most Italians would be like, yeah, we don't like that. We don't want our people doing that. But with certain groups, they gatekeep their crime and call you racist for talking about it. You know, so it's like, it would be equivalent to me saying that you talking about MS-13 and noticing that they're all Hispanic makes you a Hispanic phobe. Like that would be the equivalent. So people don't just like mysteriously blame all people for what other people in their group are doing. It's just, to be fair, so many Jewish people in media and entertainment, they basically run cover and call people hateful for noticing any sort of patterns. Like if Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein were both Italian, and there were reports that they worked for the Italian government, if I said, oh, that's anti-Italophobia to say that, then it would seem like I'm like running cover for Jeffrey Epstein. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's the analogy that you're trying to make. I just made a better analogy. So that's the analogy that actually makes sense. Jackie said my first guest was going to be Czech. My grandma was from Czechoslovakia. So like I said, genetically, I don't know what that means because Czech Republic and Slovakia used to be one country. Now they're two. So was my grandma 100% Czechoslovakian? I'm not sure. She died when I was like 3 or 4 years old, and I got to spend some time with her, but I never really got to talk to her about that. I talked to my Italian grandma a lot. My Italian. She was basically my aunt, my grandfather's sister. I asked her a lot about Italy because like she was very Italian, so she knew everything about it. I try to learn as much as I can. Super chat before I leave. Peace in the Valley, Johnny Cash song says, is the way well the bear be gentle and the wolves be tame and the lion shall lay down with the lamb. That's what I said. Is that a song? Peace in the Valley by Johnny Cash. Oh, I got you. Sung in this way, while the bear will be gentle and the wolves will be tame and the lion shall lay down at the lamb. That's what okay. Give me some Johnny Cash lyrics, I think. Okay. Someone said Epstein also worked for our government. I think it's pretty clear that he had connections in our government because our government doesn't want to show us what he was doing. So, I mean, I would say, yeah. Imagine if you said that and I said, oh, you're just being hateful towards America. You just hate Americans. Don't say Jeffrey Epstein worked for our government. Wouldn't it seem like I was in on it if I did that? You know, you understand what I'm saying? I'm like, yeah, probably. And I'm sure he had connections to other governments too. I'm not trying to hide any of this stuff. I'm trying to figure out what he was doing, who he blackmailed, and how we blackmailed them so we could get our country back, you know? But certain groups, they gatekeep their own stuff. I'm not trying to be edgy, but it's like, you know, you look at certain neighborhoods and the crime rate's astronomical and nobody wants to talk about it in these groups. They're just like, they get mad when people talk about it, but other groups don't want high crime rates. So they talk about it like, why is there so much crime there? And they're like, oh, you just hate us. You just hate it. And I was like, I'm not even saying, like, I'm not saying you. And the thing is, I've been to bad areas in New York City. There's a lot of good kids there that like, they have no, you know, they're not bad people. There's a lot of good families and stuff. These are the people that have to put up with all this crap. Like, imagine when I used to go to New York, there's a kid who used to skateboard around. He was like 13, 14 years old. I think his dad was an alcoholic, whose mom, who knows what she was doing. This kid was a good kid. There were a lot of good kids that were into computers, just like everyone else. Like, they weren't, it's not like they were so ghetto they didn't know everything. Things are getting gentrified and things are getting elevated, like, you know, in a lot of places where people are like, sometimes people look at it like all these people are doing this. No, there's a majority of the people in these neighborhoods are good people, and they're being terrorized by, you know, large groups of people, but it's not 50%. Maybe it's 40% or 20%. I don't know, but it's like, I've seen it with my own eyes. It's like when people gatekeep crime in New York City, it's the kids that I've seen that skateboard around and you're just like, they have a bright future. They're good people. They have, you know, they're not part of this crime syndicate that's making this neighborhood crazy. These are the people that have to watch where they're going and not get hit with a bullet to class. So it's like when people gatekeep crime in Black neighborhoods, it's like, I don't care who you are, like you're doing a massive disservice to the people there. It's like, you know, people like LeBron James will never talk about this. It's like, bro, you would never live in these neighborhoods. And the people like you that are growing up in these neighborhoods, maybe in a worse neighborhood than you grew up with, maybe they're good at basketball. Don't you want them to grow up in a safe neighborhood? Or are you just going to call everybody racist that talks about it and just act like the cops are the problem? Bro, let's be honest. The cops are not great. I'm not the biggest fan of every police officer in the world, but it's like, are the police the real problem in America with these neighborhoods? Yeah, it's the police, bro. It's just the police, right? There's nothing else going on. Are the police going into the bodegas and threatening the owner? Are the police having gang fights all the time? Are the police robbing people all the time? Yeah, the police are a percentage of the problem, but they're not even close to like 10% of the problem. They're easily under 10% of the problem. This is just the reality of the situation. It's like, you know, people act like they're being nice, but they're not being nice. I've seen and I've met people in neighborhoods that are high crime, and these are the people that suffer. These people don't have a voice on social media, and these people would probably prefer to live in a neighborhood. So what I'm saying is, why do people gatekeep it so much? You talk about it and they'll just be like, oh, that's just racist. Oh yeah, you're just hateful. You want that neighborhood to be that way? You want those kids to walk to school over 50 crackheads? It's like, why would you want that? Why would you want that? The liberals in LA are so stupid. When the police try to clean up all the tents and the homeless crackheads, they're like, no, leave them alone. You want your kids walking around a park that's like uninhabitable? You want a filthy, disgusting, dirty, like rotting, you know, probably like, you know, toxic park? That's what you want? Like, liberals are just disgusting when it comes to that stuff. MP with the $10 super chat, he said, Robert Maxwell was an intelligent asset for multiple countries, yet which country gave him a literal saint funeral? To be honest, I don't know. I got to look that up, but thank you for the super chat. I'm guessing it's the country that must not be named, but I didn't know that. All right, so I'll be back, folks. Have fun with the binder selfies. Let me know what you think about the binder selfies. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for being here. I got a better report coming tomorrow, and I'll let you know what I see. But as always, I'm not trying to be the be-all, end-all. I'm just trying to, you know, be a part of this and do what I can, to be honest. But I would never be like, come back and check with me to get the real scoop. It's like, I'm sure the best way to get the full scoop would be them release it to the public so you could see exactly what I could see. But since I do a news show, of course, I'm going to cover it. Of course, I'm going to talk about it. And of course, I'm going to, you know, tell what I think about it. And I'll wrap up on this note. I think it's nice to be nice to Trump. I understand that we need to be patient and like he's sorry, I got kicked off my stream. I'm not asking you to be mean to Trump, but a lot of people who like him think that he's just going to give you all this stuff and the people in his administration are just going to give you this stuff. They're probably not. So what you have to do is peacefully, legally, respectfully, but accurately and honestly do citizen, you know, feedback and let them know that you know that they're not doing enough. And that's the only way that they're going to do enough is if enough people care. And, you know, Trump's administration is tapped into social media. Trump's administration knows what's going on. More than half, if not 80 to 90% of these people who got the binders They all follow me on Twitter. They're all in my network. I'm not saying I'm friends with them all or best friends or anything. It's just like, we're not that disconnected, all of us. And the thing is, you want to be respectful, you want to be peaceful, and you want to be honorable. Just don't be nasty, or you don't have to be nasty or negative about it to be effective. Just let the important people know at the top, like, we know what's going on. We're not going to stop being honest about this. And, it's like, for the sake of our country, for the sake of the future of our country, for the sake of the sovereignty of our country, we need to know what's going on, because, our country's, although it's a great country, it's in a really rough spot right now. It's probably not all to do with Jeffrey Epstein, because I'm sure there's countries not involved with Jeffrey Epstein that are also doing bad. So it's not like he's to blame for everything going on in the country, but I bet it played a pretty big role into certain shifts in our country in certain directions. So, that's my best unsolicited advice, is to don't stress out about this stuff. Don't get angry or emotional about this stuff, but don't feel like you're not having a purpose, because don't freak out and do too much, but at the same time, be a part of the change, and things will change in the right direction. And I think the most effective way to wake somebody up is not screaming at them or freaking out. It's making valid points. It's like when I read the top comments on social media now, it's mostly opposition to what the politicians are saying. There's this one thing called Track APAC, where they just track lobbying money, and they're like, oh my gosh, that's anti-Semitic. It's just the lobbying money that you've received from a lobbyist group. It's like, if you receive money from Pfizer, people should know about it if you're promoting Pfizer. Like, this is the reality of politics. So to me, the most effective posts are not angry or like unhinged. It's usually just calm truth. Like, the calm truth rises the ranks if you make a good point or share a good, thing. Appreciate you guys. God bless you. Have a good day. I'll be back soon. And thanks for being here. Hey, what's going on, my friends? Just a few ways to stay in touch and support if you'd like to. The first way is dreamrare.com. We have blue beanies, black beanies, pink hats, other colored hats, freedom versus tyranny shirts, stay blessed long sleeve, God is great long sleeve, and lots of more cool items coming soon. Dreamrare.com. Check out the shop